Marcus Jenkins walked through the automatic doors of Westbrook Grocery, nodding politely to the elderly greeter at the entrance. The cool air conditioning was a welcome relief from the sweltering heat outside. He grabbed a small red basket, mentally reviewing his shopping list: bread, eggs, milk, and some fresh vegetables for dinner. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead as he navigated the polished aisles. At 32, Marcus had lived in Riverdale his entire life. A respected high school science teacher with a wife and 2 young daughters, he'd never had trouble at Westbrook before. Today seemed no different as he carefully selected a ripe avocado, placing it gently in his basket alongside other items. "Excuse me, sir." A stern voice cut through the ambient store noise. Marcus turned to see a security guard, hand resting on his belt, eyes narrowed suspiciously. "I need you to come with me." "Is something wrong?" Marcus asked, confusion evident in his voice. "Store security observed you concealing merchandise," the guard said loudly. Several shoppers turned to stare. "Empty your pockets, now." Marcus felt his heart pound against his ribs. The accusation hung in the air like a toxic cloud. Every eye in the store seemed fixed on him, judging, assuming. In that moment, Marcus realized this wasn't about anything he'd done. This was about who they thought he was. "I haven't taken anything," Marcus said, keeping his voice steady despite the anger and humiliation rising within him. "You can check my basket. Everything I plan to purchase is right here." The security guard, whose name tag read Dawson, stepped closer. "Sir, we have camera footage. Now either cooperate or I'll have to call the police." By now, a small crowd had gathered. Marcus noticed several customers recording with their phones. His palms began to sweat, but he knew he needed to stay calm. "I'd like to speak with your manager," Marcus requested firmly. "And I'm happy to show you I haven't stolen anything, but I'd prefer not to do this in front of everyone." "The manager is already on his way," Dawson replied, hands still hovering near his belt. "And you're not going anywhere until this is resolved." 2 minutes later, a thin man with slicked back hair approached. "I'm Kevin Thornton, store manager. What seems to be the problem?" Before Marcus could speak, Dawson cut in. This gentleman was observed placing items in his jacket pocket in aisle 7. "That's absolutely false," Marcus countered, looking directly at Thornton. "I picked up my phone when it buzzed with a text from my wife. You can check my pockets, my jacket, whatever you want, but I've stolen nothing." Thornton's face remained impassive. "Let's take this to my office, shall we?" In the cramped back office, Marcus emptied his pockets, phone, wallet, car keys, and a shopping list written in his wife's neat handwriting. "Are you satisfied?" Marcus asked, frustration evident in his voice. Thornton exchanged glances with Dawson. "We still need to review the security footage." "Do it then," Marcus challenged. "And while you're at it, I want to know why I was singled out when I've done nothing wrong. I've been shopping here for years." The uncomfortable silence that followed told Marcus everything he needed to know. This wasn't about shoplifting. This was about the color of his skin. The security footage revealed exactly what Marcus had claimed: he'd simply checked his phone. Yet Thornton offered only a half-hearted apology, suggesting it was all standard procedure. Marcus left the store without purchasing anything, his dignity wounded but his resolve strengthened. That evening, Marcus recounted the incident to his wife, Tanya, who immediately posted about it on social media. By morning, the post had been shared hundreds of times. Marcus's phone buzzed continuously with messages of support and similar stories from other Black residents of Riverdale. "You're not alone in this, Marcus," said Pastor Reginald Thomas during their phone call. "Westbrook has a pattern. Last month, they did the same thing to Jamal Washington's teenage son." Eliza Rodriguez, a civil rights attorney, reached out next. "What happened to you wasn't just wrong, it was illegal. This is textbook racial profiling." 3 days later, the community center was packed for an emergency meeting. People of all backgrounds filled the rows of folding chairs. Marcus stood at the podium, surprised by the turnout. "Thank you all for coming," he began. "What happened to me shouldn't happen to anyone." Voices rose from the crowd, sharing similar experiences. Not just at Westbrook, but throughout Riverdale. "We need to document everything," Eliza advised the group. "Dates, times, witnesses. We're building a case." By the end of the meeting, they had formed the Riverdale Justice Coalition, with Marcus reluctantly agreeing to serve as spokesperson. What had begun as one man's humiliation was transforming into a movement for accountability and change. "They picked the wrong person to mess with," Tanya whispered, squeezing her husband's hand. Eliza's law office became command central for the coalition. Maps of Riverdale covered the walls, with pins marking every reported incident of racial profiling. Volunteers operated a hotline while law students helped sort through testimonials, building a devastating pattern of evidence against Westbrook Grocery and other local businesses. 27 documented cases in the past year alone, Eliza announced, pushing her glasses up her nose. And those are just the ones people were willing to report. Marcus spent evenings after school helping review security footage that coalition members had requested through legal channels. The contrast was striking: black shoppers routinely followed by security cameras while white shoppers with similar behaviors were ignored. "Look at this," said Derek Powell, a data analyst who'd volunteered his expertise. "Black customers are 15 times more likely to be stopped for random security checks." They also uncovered internal memos suggesting management had instructed security to pay special attention to certain demographics, carefully coded language masking discriminatory practices. "This isn't just about me anymore," Marcus told Tanya as they reviewed his testimony late one night. "This is about everyone who walks into that store feeling like a criminal before they've even done anything." The coalition filed a class action lawsuit against Westbrook Grocery, alleging systematic racial discrimination. Local news outlets picked up the story, putting pressure on the company. 2 days before the first hearing, Marcus received an unexpected call from Westbrook's corporate attorneys offering a private settlement. "They want this to go away quietly," Eliza explained. Marcus shook his head firmly. "We want justice, not hush money. We go to court." The county courthouse stood imposing against the morning sky as Marcus climbed the stone steps. His navy suit felt restrictive, but Tanya had insisted he look his best. Cameras flashed as coalition members gathered on the steps, holding signs demanding accountability. "Are you nervous?" Eliza asked, briefcase in hand. "Terrified," Marcus admitted. "But ready." Inside, the courtroom filled quickly. Westbrook's legal team, 5 attorneys in expensive suits, sat confidently at their table. Their strategy had become clear: paint the incidents as isolated misunderstandings rather than part of a pattern. When Marcus took the stand, he felt every eye in the courtroom watching him. He recounted that day at Westbrook in precise detail: the security guard's accusatory tone, the public humiliation, the flimsy apology. "Mr. Jenkins," Westbrook's lead attorney began during cross-examination, "isn't it possible you misunderstood the situation? Perhaps security was simply doing their job. Their job is to protect the store from theft, not to harass innocent customers based on race," Marcus replied calmly. The defense attorney's next question came with a practiced smile. "And you have evidence this was racially motivated?" "Yes, we do," Marcus said firmly. The coalition's evidence unfolded methodically. Derek presented statistical analysis. Former Westbrook employees testified about unwritten policies. Security footage showed the stark disparity in treatment. Most powerful were the testimonies from community members. The elderly woman followed throughout the store, the teenager wrongfully detained, the professional man asked repeatedly to show receipts for items he'd purchased. Each of these incidents might be dismissed individually, Eliza argued in her closing statement. But together, they reveal an undeniable pattern of discrimination that violates both the law and human dignity. As the judge called for recess to consider the evidence, Marcus caught the eye of Kevin Thornton, who quickly looked away. For the first time since this began, Marcus felt certain they would win. The verdict came 3 days later. The courtroom fell silent as Judge Priscilla Martinez delivered her ruling. Westbrook Grocery was found liable for systematic discrimination and ordered to pay substantial damages to all class members. More importantly, Judge Martinez declared, "This court mandates comprehensive anti-bias training for all Westbrook employees, the creation of an independent community oversight board, and transparent reporting of all security interventions." Marcus exhaled deeply as cheers erupted around him. Tanya squeezed his hand so tightly it almost hurt. Outside the courthouse, reporters thrust microphones toward him. "This isn't just a victory for me," Marcus told them. "This is about changing a system that treats people differently based on appearance." Within months, the Riverdale Model gained national attention. Other communities began implementing similar oversight programs. Westbrook's new management publicly committed to transforming their corporate culture. 1 year later, Marcus brought his daughters to Westbrook Grocery. A plaque near the entrance commemorated the case that had changed store policy nationwide. The security guard, a new hire named Tamika, greeted them with a genuine smile. Sometimes, Marcus told his girls as they walked through the aisles, standing up for what's right changes more than just your own story. It can change the whole world.